All right, for section number 3, this will be our deck railing section. So in this section, you're going to be doing two things. Selecting what type of railing you're going to be using, and then deciding whether or not you're going to be using a pre-assembled railing or you're going to be building your railing. So from our drop-down list, we can select 4 different types of railings. We can choose a traditional deck railing, which is, just square balusters with the top and bottom rail. We can choose a baluster railing that has sort of like spindly balusters that die into our bottom rail. And a lot of times these balusters will be plastic or metal or something. We can choose from a hog wire railing, which is going to be a railing like this, or we can choose a cable railing. For further details about railing types, you can click this question mark, which will link you to a video. So once you've chosen your railing type, right, you're going to decide, hey, am I going to be building my railing or am I going to be using a pre-assembled railing? If you're using a pre-assembled railing, click this button and select your pre-assembled railing from this drop-down list. Once again, if you want to add what railing you're going to be using, click this plus sign. It'll take you to your pre-assembled railing section, and you can input what railing you'll be using and the price and the length. Just notice that the railing kit for your deck and the railing kit for the stairs are in 2 separate locations because they're going to be different products. So if you're not using a railing kit and you're going to be building your railing, this is where you're going to be put in your information for what you're going to be building your railing out of. Right? You can see that this information disappears if you're using a pre-assembled railing. So notice how if you choose, a hog wire railing, certain things will pop up and certain things will disappear. If you look over in your sort of like this readout section, it's going to label the parts of the railing that will correspond to what railing material you will choose. So let's just go ahead and start using a simple kind of classic deck railing, with square balusters, top and bottom rail, and a handrail. So first thing you're going to do is select the type of posts you will be using. Now the posts, once you've selected that, you want to put in the total post height from, the top of the post to the bottom of the post. Not the bottom of the deck, right? Because your post is generally going to go down below your deck so it can be fastened to your joists. The default of this will be 47 inches. It'll be 36 inches above the deck and then 11 inches below the deck. So you can enter in if it's taller, like let's say your posts go higher than your handrail, just put in whatever your total post height will be. Okay, so for your handrail, you're going to choose what material you will use for your handrail, what you're going to use for your top and bottom rail, right? And your top rail right here and your bottom rail will be labeled. So when you're choosing this stuff, right, you can come up here and you can reference this section, right? This will tell us the length between all of our posts, right? And so we can use this to determine kind of what length we want to use, right? So for your top and bottom rail, the largest distance we have between 2 posts is 5.3 feet, right? So if we were to get 12-foot boards for our top and bottom rail, we'd be able to cut those in half, right, and use one 12-foot board for our top and bottom rail for all sections. So you can kind of use this up here as a guide to tell you kind of what material you might want to use. So we're going to use 2x4 by 12s. Sorry, for our top and bottom rail. Yeah, and if your handrail is, if your posts are going above your handrail, you would use probably 12-foot for your handrail as well. And your balusters, right, you're going to select what you're going to use for your balusters, right? So if you want to buy pre-made balusters, you can either select that from this list, or if you choose 2x4x8s or 2x4x10s, this will tell you basically your default is going to be 36 inches long, so it'll calculate how many balusters you can get by ripping down a 2x4x12, and it will calculate that for you, right? You can see the number of balusters here, and you can change the space between the balusters if you wish, right? So if we made that 2, you can see that baluster is going to change up there. And if you selected, right, you're going to see we're going to need probably more of these because we're going to get less balusters out of a 2x4x8 than we would a 2x4x16. So if you're going to be making your balusters, this will calculate how many 36-inch long, 1.5-inch balusters you can make out of this material right here. And that's pretty much it for this section, right? So if we chose railing C, right, which is a hog wire railing, we can choose our wire mesh, right, here. If we chose railing D, right, which will be our cable railing, you can choose your cable right here. And it will calculate how much cable you're going to need for you know, the length of deck post that you've chosen, right? So that's important. It does not include the like sort of cable hardware, so you're just going to have to, you know, whichever hardware you use, add that to your estimate. And that's pretty much it.